Yo yo YouTube! It is Friday, 27th of October. I'm going to tell you about today. I won't be telling you about the week stats today because I haven't quite finished my week. But let's start about what I did today. So, this morning I started off with a job that was booked in yesterday going from Lincoln to Preston. It was a 7:30 start. So I set my alarm for 6. I left the house around about 6:45 to get to South Lincoln in time for my pickup. It was from an RAF base, so there was a bit of signing in. I rang the guy before I arrived. He met me outside. We went in, got my pass sorted out with my driving license, and they escorted me onto the base to collect the items that he had to give to me. That was a small van job. It was 174 miles in total, and I got for that £180. And that trip was around about 3.5 hours from Lincoln to. It was actually between Preston and Blackpool that I was going to. So it was quite a long journey. So I made my way there, and about an hour and a quarter before I got there, I had a call. I think it was from the shipper, just checking how long it was going to be. So I told them my ETA was going to be at 12 o'clock, which at that point was about right. By the time I arrived at the security gate, it was 12:05. There was a bit of traffic on the way, and when I got there, the security guard told me I was going to the wrong place. I had to go back out and around. So at this point, I called the customer, and he said he'd meet me at the goods in place. So I went round to the other gate and went through security again, and I waited through the gate for the guy to pick me up. And I wasn't sure if I was dropping off my goods to him or that I was following him further on into the site. As it turned out, he came around and I followed him into the site. I ended up driving. Around an runway. I think it was a disused airport or airfield, but so I think it might be used for something not commercial travel. Anyway, so I got my loads offloaded at that point, and then came back out. And I was looking for another job on the CX system, and I found a job. Before I did that, actually, I came out, needed a toilet, so I went to the nearest supermarket and went to the toilet, looked for jobs, and I ended up between Blackpool and Preston. I put 3 or 4 bids on, kind of £50 bids, mostly coming from Preston. There was about 2 drivers at Blackpool, and about 4 drivers in Preston at this point. Then I didn't get any of those bids, and then there was no drivers in Blackpool that were available, and there was about 2 drivers in Preston. But I was getting a bit fed up just staying where I was, so I started to move. So I was about to start to move, and another job came up a bit further afield, and that job was from Burnley to Selby. I thought that was good because it's taking me east. Selby is a YO postcode, so York area. So I thought it'd get me across the country, and then if I need to just pop home, it's just south down to my home. So that was. I was due to be there at between 1:30 and 2:30, and I arrived there at 2:15. And the job I've been slightly under £1 a mile. I've been £75 for an 80.5 mile journey. Again, for a small van. And so I made my way to Burnley and then got my items. It was quite a. Actually, let me just double check something. Because my van was quite full. I don't think it was a small van. I think it was a short wheelbase. Just double check. Yeah, it's a short wheelbase. But it filled my van, and I've got a long wheelbase. It was quite awkward stuff to pack, so I strapped it down as best I could. It wasn't heavy, but it seemed to be reasonably delicate. So I got myself to my drop-off place in Selby, and I was going to be there for initially around about 4:15, but traffic was quite busy on the M62 going across, so I ended up being delayed a bit, and it ended up being more like 4:25 by the time I arrived, and 4:30 by the time I unloaded. Everything signed off. Um, so then I was looking for a job, and it was a job that I'd seen from Normanton, and I wasn't quite on the way to Selby, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to get there in time. I get to Selby in time and get back in time because it's 5 o'clock pickup at the latest. And I didn't know how long it was from Selby to Normanton. It actually was about half an hour, and I had time to get there. The frustrating thing was that when I was looking for the CX when I'd loaded up my pod for my Selby trip, the CX system seemed to get a bit weird. It seemed to basically crash. I had to restart my phone, which took ages. Must have been a good 5 minutes, and in that time, all the jobs that were available, there's 2 or 3 jobs available in the area I was, or at least within half an hour, had gone. That was a bit frustrating. So now it was 4:30, and I was wondering what to do. And I had a few options, and in the end, I bid on a job that was a late start tonight, going from Leeds to Gainsborough to Louth and then to Norwich. And when I first saw that job, I thought that'd be great, and then I realised it was a 11:30 pickup, and I thought that's not so great. But then I thought, well, I'm close to Leeds. That seems like quite a good opportunity to do something different. I put on quite a high bid. I basically put £1 a mile plus £10 per stop. So it was 210 miles. This is definitely for a small van. And I put on a bid of £250, 250, and I got it. So that's kind of made my decision for me now. I was going to work tomorrow anyway. I need to make up some money. Also, I had gained a job. Let me just tell you the job I gained for tomorrow anyway. I've got a job for tomorrow afternoon from Sleaford to Nottingham. Just it's a short job. It's 55 miles, and I bid £75, and that's for a small van job. So I've got £75 tomorrow afternoon. I've got the 250 starting tonight, basically being tomorrow morning. So basically, I've decided to end my day today now, do the video for today for Friday, find somewhere near my pickup to have a rest, get a little nap, and then treat the job I'm doing tonight as tomorrow morning, and that's going to be tomorrow's job. So I've got 2 jobs booked in for tomorrow already, and I'll then include tomorrow's earnings in this week's pay. So I'll give you in a moment the figures for today, and then I'll give you a couple of things I've thought about which I want to share with you. So figures for today. So by the time I get to my pickup point, I will have worked for 11 hours today. I will have driven 363 miles, and my average fuel this week is 16.15 pence per mile. That means my fuel today is £58.62, and I've earned 2 CX jobs today, £180 from Lincoln to Preston, and then the £75 from Burnley to let's go with S. Selby. Sorry. So that's 255 today. After fuel taken into account, I've earned £196 today. So again, just below target. So that's my figures for today. 2 CX jobs, shortish day, a little rest, and then I'll do my evening one. Now, I've had a bit of a think about my strategy, and I'm going to share that with you to some extent. The first decision I've made is I'm not going to try and find any end users. That's customers that will pay me directly. I'm going to try and find, instead of end users, end user shippers, or shippers that are give me regular work. Because I don't need to have the hassle of dealing with customers directly. I haven't got the time or the skills to do that. But what I do have, I think, is the ability to foster relationships with shippers and build trust with them and to provide a good service for them. So I'm going to be looking for local shippers to me I can do regular work for, try and get regular jobs for them. Not every day, but maybe 2 or 3 days of the week. And see if it goes anywhere. I've already got one shipper that kind of I do that with for. The problem with that one is it's very good. It's very flexible, very good pay. Just always ends in High Wycombe, and getting back from High Wycombe paid to home is always very difficult because it's too close to London. So I want to try and focus my efforts going north from where I live and west from where I live, at least in the morning. And I think I've definitely started to focus on the north of where I live at the moment and ignore the south. I did a video about it a few times ago about the number of drivers there are in my area, and north of me there's very few drivers, south of me there's quite a lot of drivers. And I don't really at this point have what you'd call a regular run or a regular job. So I want to try and find a shipper that can give me something regularly. I won't mind if I don't get a regular job, but I think that will give me some sort of structure to my week and some sort of stability. So I think that's what I want to look for. The next thing that I've rediscovered this week, which I kind of knew but then chose to forget in a way, is a truism, which is that if you start early, that's much better than starting late. And so I need to get myself into the mindset of early starts being good rather than difficult or a pain. And I do think that it's easier to make money if you get out of the house or you're awake from about 6 onwards. And tonight is a bit of a reverse of that. I'm going to be doing, however you look at it, very late or very early start. So it's going to be basically an early morning job. And I'm being paid well for it, considering what it is. And I would consider if there was a regular route near me doing that sort of time. So I suppose overnight is what it's doing. Depending on how it goes today. yeah, so I suppose I'll leave it at that. I mean, if there's other bits of my strategy that I want to look at, but those are basically the bones of what I want to try and do. Um, I was thinking it was a bit ironic that I have this platform that has a public face to it, and that for all I know, there are shippers on here who live close to me, but I'm keeping myself anonymous. They don't know who I am. So um, I'm not using this channel for marketing purposes, but maybe I'm missing a beat doing that. Um, I think it's more for my personal use, and I've got a work context in which to do that. Um, so yeah, what I'd like to know, but I don't think I'm ever going to know, is what proportion of the audience who watch these videos are job givers, rather than drivers or ex-drivers. Because I really would like to know more about what it's like for a shipper and what's important for them. But I can guess most of it, to be honest. But it'd be just worth knowing things I'm not aware of. Right, I think that's it. So I'm going to find somewhere to have a rest, and then tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. I want to share with you my gratitude thing. So today is 27th of October, and I am grateful that I am at the moment fit and healthy to do this work and earn myself a living. And I'm aware that some of my audience can't do that, so I'm grateful for that. And the reason why I mention that today is because I want to give a shout out to KC Couriers, who, if it's still going ahead, tomorrow is having their mini operation, which hopefully will get them back on the road. I won't say anything else other than that because I haven't had the consent to share that information. But good luck with that. Hope it goes very well. And I appreciate that I don't have to do that at the moment. Right, let's bring this to a close. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope you are successful in whichever way you choose to define that word. And finally, what are you grateful for today?